Welcome, fans, to another edition of the Cheap Heat Productions Wrestling Podcast. My name is Jack Kilby. I am the Executive Vice President of Great North Wrestling. And before we introduce our guest, the man who this show is named after, the Mario Mancini Show, I'd like to welcome Maurice to his own show. How are you, sir? Back from vacay.
Thank you, Jack, and thank you for providing tonight's internet from Canada to Ireland to America, because my internet has been terrible lately. And yes, this is my show, but this is a spin-off show. It's the Mario Mancini Show, which is a part of this channel. Thank you, Mario. Unfortunately, I do have some bad news, Mario. You have been knocked off the #1 podcast slot on this channel by a porn star.
Well, I can't compete with a porn star. I don't want to compete with a porn star. She deserves that.
I still have to. Yeah, I still have to get your. Who's the porn star that you wanted to get on the show?
Nina Hartley.
Nina Hartley. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll try to get her on the Mario Mancini show. I will.
That would be fantastic. So it's my understanding that a lot of people got thrown into the dumpster today, Jack.
Yes, sir.
Still happening.
Quite a few, and it's apparently ongoing, as Maurice indicated, as we speak. Notable names that I can remember off the top of my head include Dolph Ziggler, Dana Brooke, Top Dollar from that faction Hit Row, Shelton Benjamin, who was completely underutilized in my opinion, and perhaps the one I don't understand the most, and as an example of, I hearken back to the case of Fandango, who had a tremendous initial foray into the company, big push, beat Chris Jericho at WrestleMania, and then gone. And that would be Elias. How they did not turn that man into a main event talent, the athleticism, the look of Savage, and great on the mic, great on character, but he is gone, and I will definitely be looking to bring him into Great North Wrestling. But there are many others, and that builds upon about 100 or so office staff that were released from several divisions on Friday. The notable name there being Dana Brooke, the wife of the late Ultimate Warrior, who, sorry, not Dana Brooke, Dana Warrior, who I know you worked with, and just wondering what your thoughts are on this harbinger of the merger between UFC and WWE.
Does that go to Maurice or me?
To you, sir.
Oh,
to you.
Well, you know what? You're talking to a dinosaur, So, I'm gonna tell you guys. I'm going to say to you guys what I say to my students. I wish I can close my eyes and just blink them and bring you guys back to 1984. Tony Altamara said to me, listen, kid, you live in Milford off of exit 34, off I-95. The office is off of exit 3. There's guys in this country would love to live that close to the office. Go and visit. So I'd go to the office in Greenwich off of Arch Street, exit 3, and it was like a 3-story office building, little tiny thing, and you took the elevator up, and the minute the elevator opened, half the wall was taken up by a picture of Hulk Hogan ripping off his yellow shirt, and there were a handful of employees there. There was Ed Cohen and Tony Starson, and the booker was George Scott was in there, Terry Garvin, Tony Altomar was in there. Stays the handful of people, so tiny. It was close shop. So I don't even think there were 100 people there in 1984 in the office. So for people to, the progression of professional wrestling to me, the people that were let go, other than the wrestlers, which I always feel bad for, because let me tell you something, it's devastating, especially when you're over and making money, and you're not making money anymore, and you're not on that TV anymore. The biggest company on the face of the planet just let you go. You know what I mean? So, but the Office people, that would have been detrimental back in the 80s. But I don't even know if these are wrestling people other than Dana Warrior. The business isn't based around arm drags and drop kicks anymore. It's based around something totally different. So maybe they're going to bring in better organizers, better creative people. I really don't know. I'm so out of the loop that, like I said, I'm a dinosaur when it comes to this stuff. But it's unfortunate. The only person that was still there when I started was Tony Starson. And if they let Tony go, she's got enough years in to retire and collect a pension, 84 to 2023. You know what I mean? So she probably really doesn't give a damn if she got let go, which I hope she didn't. But it's unfortunate, but I don't, I missed the comment.
Mario Mancini for local mayor.
Yeah, Mike D. I don't know about after this show, Mike, because I'm gonna get pretty harsh. I'm gonna get pretty harsh right now. So, the thing about this whole thing is nobody really knows how much Vince has to do with this stuff anymore. He's given up a portion of control of his company. And I say this all the time, especially with the trouble he got in and the scandals and everything. It was close shop. It was his ball. It was his baby. You know what I mean? The reason why he got in trouble like this is because he turned around and said, let's go public. Let's get on the stock market. When you have and the shareholders the answer to, you got a different life. Before it was just a family-owned business, right? So, but anyway, I'm always talking about back then, and maybe I don't have a lot of views because people are tired of me talking about, back in 86 and back in 88 and the Iron Sheik and all these other guys. And I'm not going to talk about that today. All I'm talking about is pretty present in today's wrestling world. I'm not even talking about professional wrestling. I'm talking about post-professional wrestling. So, I'll get to the scumbag thief, shyster Scott Wilder later. That thieving son of a bitch likes to trick everybody. I'll get to him later. Meanwhile, Scott Wilder is probably one of the nicest guys I ever met, one of the most honest people I ever met in my life. A man that every step he takes, one foot in front of the other, is nothing but good intention. And there's a saying in life that bad things happen to good people. So we have a lot of guys out there, right? I'm going to tell you my philosophy. I hope you get 50,000 views and people can give me their opinions, whether they agree with me or not. I really, really do. Jack, I value your opinion. Maurice, the same with you. Okay. No names, because I have an awful lot of friends out there. I got a lot of friends out there. From Tony Atlas to Ted DiBiase to Tito Santana to the Honky Tonk Man to Jimmy Hart. I mean, I got a lot of friends out there. So we're going to use placebo wrestlers. I have a philosophy. on these wrestling conventions that it should be a split. I think that is the only honest way to run a wrestling convention. So Maurice, guys running a big wrestling convention in Ireland, you want to bring in an above mid-card guy from the 90s, real decent name. And he tells you, okay, Maurice, 1,500. That's what I get. And you go, okay. Now you got the flight from the United States to Ireland. How much is that?
Probably, it depends on where you're coming from, but at least $1,000. That's assuming they don't want first class or something like that.
Okay, so that's 2,500. Now you got to have them in. Say the convention's 2 days, you got to have them in at least 4 days, right? Maybe 3. Let's cut it down to 3. Got to get a hotel, right? 150 a night. Okay, so now you got 450. You're at 2,950. Got to feed them. Let's round it out to $3,000. He comes in and he takes in 1,800. And he doesn't even mention it. He says nothing about it and looks at you and goes, well, it was nice working with you, Maurice. Where's my money? And you got to dig in your pocket, in your personal funds to pay this guy or this woman. Where's my money? And I'm not saying I'm a saint for it. I'm saying it because I'm Mario Mancini, and I am the lowest form of the wrestling food chain. So when Scott first called me, and he just reminded me that it's our 3-year anniversary a couple of days ago, the big event in New York. And yeah, so he goes, how much do you get? I go, I don't know. He goes, what do you mean you don't know? What's your parents' fee? I'm like, I don't know. I don't have one. He's like, what do you mean? I go, I don't have one. I go, how about I show up and we see how we do? How's that? And he's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. How about I show up? We just see how we do. And he went, okay. And that's what we did. And that's what we do every show I do for him. I have no fee. And I have a better time with his company. I have a better time laughing with him than any money he can ever pay me. You know what I mean? He just, and people could say, yeah, Mancini, you have a day job that not a lot of people have. Fair enough. But you know what? You want to go 4 years to college and 3 years to law school, be my guest. Go ahead. No one's stopping you. So Maurice loves me. And he brings me in. And I've never been to Ireland. And he gets a pre-sale on me from people that aren't even coming. They're mailing orders. $8,000. He goes, Mario, you lowest end of the wrestling food chain. You have no idea what advance you have here in Ireland. The merch, when you come here to sign, I got to mail out. It's tremendous. Great, Maurice. Maurice scratches his head and says, let me bring in a couple other guys from America and one popular female wrestler. I'll bring one and two. He's got 4 flights. 4 flights. He's got 4 hotels. He doesn't have any money. So he goes into the pre-sale to cover the expenses. And he goes into the pre-sale to cover the expenses because the last thing on his mind, that won't even enter his brain is that Mario Mancini is going to come to Ireland and die. I'm going to end up in the hospital and pass away. And now this chill comes over Maurice's whole body, and he goes, I spent the pre-sale money. I can't fulfill those orders because he can't sign anything because he's dead. Oh, shit. What are the odds that I'm going to come to Ireland and die? What are the odds?
Depends on how much you drink over here.
Yeah, well, I don't consume alcohol, so that even lowers the odds even more. I never have. I never will. Maurice, I'm going to be honest with thousands and thousands of people. I have told people my whole life since I was 18 that I don't like the taste of alcohol. That's why I don't drink. That's not the truth. So the truth of the matter is I don't drink alcohol because it makes me rock back and forth on the toilet. So for some reason, I must be allergic to an enzyme or something, no matter if it's wine, white wine. I thought I almost had to go to the ER. The stomach pains were so severe that I really thought I had to go to the emergency room. Beer, wine. The only thing that doesn't do it is Jack Daniels, which is the reason why I've only been drunk twice in 57 years. Jack Daniels. So, what are the odds of me coming to Ireland? Your pants are down. You're caught. You're caught. What do you do? What are you going to do? You don't have the money. Now, the people that are watching this show and the people that are going to watch it and make a comment and say, hey, Mario, if you're in that business, then you should have money behind you before the show. You're right. You know what? You're probably right. But Maurice didn't. He counted on that money. He's got 2 kids. He's got a job and he's tried to make extra money. And he used that money. He didn't have the money behind him. He actually used the pre-sale money. So now what? So now you're taking a little bit of your paycheck every week and you're refunding people money slowly. But it's not fast enough for them. So you become a crook. You become a thief. You become a liar. On top of being called that, you had to get my daughters on FaceTime from Ireland and have them say goodbye to me while I died in Ireland. Because that's what Scott Wilder had to do. He had to get Butch's family on FaceTime and hold it to his face on the bed while they said, I love you, and he passed away. A pretty traumatic experience. Hey, listen, the people who bought the pre-sales, they're probably going to say, I don't want to hear it. I want my money. Okay, I get it. No, I understand. It's an unfortunate situation. Listen, the other wrestling convention, Scott had a $35,000 payroll, but he was also asked to be the lead runner of that convention and have the most talent and have the biggest names. And then shortly before that convention, one enormous name was mentioned. So even that argument was made that, hey, Mario, he should have the 35,000 in the hole. Okay, I get it. What if he did? Does that mean he should go there and lose 25,000 of it because he's got it? That he should risk that kind of money? Because, listen, it happened to me at the big event. It happened to everybody. Listen, Eddie was sitting right across my table. Beefcake. Why? Because everybody was behind me in line by the droves to see The Undertaker. They don't want to see Beefcake. They don't see Mario Mancini. They want to see The Undertaker. That's where all their money went. And we're talking post-COVID. And we're talking about gas prices that just reached $6 a gallon in California. Lord knows what they are in Canada. Lord knows what the gas prices are in Canada. People don't have that kind of money. So, yeah, okay, you should have the $35,000. I have the $35,000 to go in. I'm going to go in and roll the dice. Well, how much did you lose? Oh, I lost a lot, 2/3 of it. But I kept my commitment. Yeah. So my philosophy is what should be done on a split. Now, guys might want to kill me and say, listen, you could say that all day long, Mario, but I have a fee. And if he doesn't want to pay the fee, I'm not going. I get it. And I respect it. I do. But listen, if Jack was at a table, if you were at a table, okay, people go to Scott Wilder and you get a ticket. If they come with a gray ticket, I know they're getting an autographed 8x10. If they come with a red ticket, I know they're getting an autographed 8x10 and a photo with me. So the gray ticket's $25 and the red ticket's $40. The talent takes the ticket. Well, after 4 hours, man, just count your tickets. Count your tickets. If the guy's paying you $2,000 and you have $1,200 in tickets, and there's only half hour left of the event, you're not going to go up to Scott Wilder. You're not going to go up to John Wall. John's another guy, nice guy. Not going to go over and go, John, listen, I got the numbers. Let's talk about my fee because I know you didn't make it. No. Here's my money. Here's my money. I asked Scott Wilder, I said, listen, since you've been doing this, have you ever walked away from a convention where it made a difference in your month? Notice I didn't say a year. Did it make a difference in your year? Did it make a difference in your month? And he went, no. No. So this is my feeling on this. I have a guy that just popped up that might as well have the same blood running through his veins that I do because the love I have for him is insurmountable, and that is the Guardian of Chaos, Big Daddy, who is one of my dearest friends and proud to say that he is. Another very humble individual in the wrestling business. I just, and I think I'm bringing this up because Scott quit. He quit. He said, Mancini, I'm done. Now, I gave him an idea that I'm going to do next spring and summer that he is very excited about. I'm very excited about, and I'm going to be doing it. And hopefully we make a hell of a lot more money, 10 times as much money as you would make off of any wrestling convention. So I always wonder, unless you're bringing in Undertaker, unless you're bringing in Bret Hart, unless you're bringing in Mick Foley, unless you're bringing in Hulk Hogan, unless you're bringing in Ric Flair, how do these guys make money? And when they lose money, nobody seems to, nobody seems to, but in the mind of Scott Wilder, it's like, I'm not booking you again. You know what I mean? I'm not booking. Listen, Richie, you know what, Richie? And I've been saying that. Where's my money? You're right. You're right, Richie. But you know what? That's not the way I've lived my life. Richie, let me tell you something. When I started working in the field of law, okay, and I'm known as a kind of a shaker and a mover, and because of my name in the lowest form of the food chain of pro wrestling, people know me. They get a gas out of if I do an intake with a client and they're like, wow, you're a professional wrestler, it helps in the legal profession, I know the man that I work with for 31 years, and I've been working with him from 28 to 31. I was friends with him first for 3 years. And, somebody years ago in the mid 90s grabbed me and said, you could be stretching him out for a lot more. And I go, why would I do that? It's my friend. Why would I do that? I love that guy. He's my friend. He said, well, Big Daddy's got the video to prove it. Listen, he's got the video to prove it. And he said, look, Mario, you have to make a decision. You're either going to run it like a business or run it like a friendship. And I decided to run it like a friendship. And I guess you're right, Richie, because I've decided to run my appearances, and I made it exclusive to Scott Wilder to run it like a friendship. But I'm going to tell you this. He's got a lot of friends, and another wrestler, which I won't mention his name. And he put his arm around Scott. And he goes, I like you, Scott. He goes, well, I got a lot of guys that like me. He goes, are they your friends? He goes, I like to think they are. He goes, try not paying them and see what kind of friends they are. I'll even say on the air right here, I'll be honest with you. There was a particular convention where I did decent, and I knew the other people, they didn't hit their number, they didn't hit their appearance fee. And I looked at Scott and I said, listen, whatever I brought in, put it toward that, because I know you're short. Put it toward that. And you know what? We went out to eat and we laughed our ass off till we cried. And I don't know if that means a lot to people, but it means a lot to me. So Richie, you're right. It is business, and it's the people are going to approach it as business. But that's not the way I approach it. But even though you approach it as business, don't you think there should be a level of fairness? Don't you think there should be a level of fairness, Richie? I mean, if we brought you in and your appearance fee was $1,000 and you counted your tickets and you brought in $650, you're comfortable with going up to a promoter and go, where's my money? Don't you have a sense of responsibility? Wouldn't somebody, and Jack and Maurice, I want you guys to say, Mario, we listen to everything you said. You're dead wrong. And I want to hear it. I'll listen. Listen, far be it from me. Isn't there a conscience? Isn't there like, wow, I didn't hit the number I'm charging this guy. You know what I mean? And at that, listen to this conundrum. If Richie's getting paid $1,000 and he only brought in $650, even if the promoter hands him $650, that means he made nothing. That means the promoter made nothing. He broke even. He just basically wasted his time. You know what I mean? So, I wanted to bring a perspective to see what people would think about this and the comments they would make. And I don't want to hear, well, Mario's just a nice guy. Not everybody's like Mario. He made friends with the guy. I got news for you. Scott doesn't book anybody he's not friends with. So if you look at the history of the guys that he's booked, he's friends with all of them. He's got a very friendly relationship with all of them. The one guy I will mention because it's funny, and he's always hit his mark. He's always hit his mark, so I'm safe by saying it. Plus, it's only to be nothing but good because this guy can beat my ass hard because he's a tough son of a bitch. But Scott and I we always joke about Danny Davis, right? Like when Scott goes to pick up Danny Davis, as Danny comes out of his front door down the sidewalk, if Scott has his window open, he goes, "Where's my money?" You know, Danny wants to sit in the car, close the door, and Scott go, "Here's your envelope." You know, that's business to Danny. That's good business. The minute his ass hits the seat, "Here's your money. Thank you. Now let's have a good time." That's the way Danny thinks. Only he's done it so much and he's complained about it so much that it's become funny. But Danny loves Scott, and Danny knows he's going to get his money, and Danny hits his mark. You know what I mean? He's worth booking. He's always worth booking, because he's a double threat. He's got that referee thing going, and then he's got WrestleMania 3 going. So everybody always loves to see the evil referee. He always hits his number. He's a very popular guy. But you know, I enjoy listening to him, because there's aside from Jose Luis Rivera making me bust a gut, nobody makes me laugh harder than Danny Davis. I booked Danny Davis one time, and he came through the door, and I said, "Danny, come around the corner with me." I said, "Come around the corner with me right now." And I went in my pocket. I started paying him, you know, and he started laughing. But I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it here. I hope he doesn't get mad. He stopped me from counting out. Danny Davis stopped me from counting out, and he said, "That's enough." I said, "No, but I want to give you." He goes, "That's fine." I go, "Danny, just let me." "That's enough, Mario. It's enough. You're my brother. That's enough. There's a guy for you. There's a guy for you. Okay? There's an exception." So, you know, I just feel bad, because this is what I honestly feel, and I really am airing out a lot of private stuff here. You know, we were supposed to go to Hamburg, and Scott pulls out of Hamburg. And I called him up, and I said, "You know why I think you pulled out all these shows? Because you feel bad about how people make you feel if you promote. Because the minute, if he starts to promote appearances at another convention, the people he owes money to tap in and go, 'Where's my refund from the Bushwhackers? How can you be doing another convention without giving me my refund?' What they don't know is going to yet another convention with no money." It's like Jack. It's like the convention starts at 10 o'clock. The doors open up at 10 o'clock, and Scott goes, you know, I'm just telling the truth in case people think this guy's pockets, he's walking around with his pockets full, and he's slowly making the refund. So I think he just got sick of feeling bad. People making him feel like a person that he's not, because he's not that person. He got stuck in a bad situation. He got caught up because, again, who would have thought in a million years the guy was going to die? You know what I mean? So I think that's why really he pulled out of so many conventions, because he can't promote them. Because the minute he promotes something, people jump all over him and go, "How can you go to another convention when you owe us refunds?" But what they don't know is he's going yet to it. But Scott said it the best. He said, "Mario, you know what they don't know? I'm not going there with any money. I'm going there in hopes to making a good score so I can give them their money back. That's why I'm doing another convention, to see if I can make money to give them their refunds." There's the legend himself, Brian Costello. You know, Brian posts
He's doing part 2.
So many things on Facebook of who he worked with, and I'm like, damn, I never worked with him.
And a lot of women.
Damn, well, Brian's the king of, I'll call it Babelicious. How's that? Brian is the king of Babelicious. Listen, I'm going to defend him like I defend myself. Listen, I'm a 57-year-old single man. I have an orange tabby. I have a cat. Okay? If I had a wife and I was posting that stuff, then I'd be a scumbag. So, you know what? I don't know if Brian's got a cat or a dog, but it's just Brian. So, you know what? Let the guy post whatever he wants to post.
Keep them
You
coming,
know?
Brian.
Yeah, let him post whatever he wants to post. So, this is what I wanted to get off my chest tonight. It's been bothering me for a little bit. I want to know people's input. I mean, it wouldn't be nice, but you know, listen, I'm not saying that Roma or even myself could make a call to Brett and Brett would give us a discount and he would come in because, you know, 40 years, 39 years means a lot, right? Right? That was the debut match for the Hurt Foundation with SD Jones, right? And I'm sure he would. That's a guy to take a gamble on. That's a guy where you're going to make your money. You're going to make a ton of money, but you got to put out. And you know, and it's 5 digits. You gotta put that out. You know what I mean? And regardless of how much Mark Henry hates me, you know what I mean? How who's got $250,000 to put out to the Undertaker? You know what I mean? Let's either we're gonna close on that house that you love, or I need to hire the Undertaker for a convention. It's a house. Yeah, not these days, unfortunately. It's half a house with the prices. But you know, it's what do you do? What do you do? You know what I mean? So I feel bad about the whole thing. You know, if it sounds like I'm biased, I tried not to be. I was just honest about a person that I know very well. I'm not biased because I admitted to Richie that he's right. It is business. It's just business.
Yeah,
it's just business. But like I said, you got to take. There's business and then there's reality. So go ahead, take the floor.
I'm in the events promotion, and I don't have to put a lot of money behind things. So like I'm in an advantage that way. But sometimes I'm getting paid by the venues, and then other times I'm renting the venues to do a show. So if I'm renting the venue, I either gotta pay the bands will tell me this is the fee I want, and then we either agree or disagree. Or then other times, like what you were saying, is we'll split the door and we come up with a percentage, and that's everything is worked in advance. And if the band want 400, I gotta pay them 400. That's just the way that I do things. But it wouldn't be at the level of having to fly people in and stuff like that. That's way out of my zone. But Jack would have experience in dealing with things like that.
Yeah, I've got a. It's funny, Mario, when you're recounting that story, I had a particular situation pop into my head, and I'm not going to use a name either, but put it this way: a legend was booked with quite an expensive flight and other extras that were accrued along the way, and gotta watch how I say this. The understanding was that there would be quite a recoup in terms of the gimmicks and the pictures and blah blah blah. And clearly, for a number of reasons, that mark wasn't even close to being hit. Like not even in the same time zone, and the particular individual, I believe, didn't really make much of an effort, just basically showed up and wasn't in any way, putting over who the fans would expect to see. And before the main, and we're talking pretty significant dollars here for, as Marie said, flights kill independent wrestling. And there was that, and then some, and hotels and all the goodies that comes with the territory. But before the main event, this particular individual was asking me about there was a deposit, and then the flight and everything was paid, and the hotel, and asking for their end. and not only their end, a non-agreed upon expenditure I got a bill for too before the main event. So what I fortunately, finance is one of my strong suits. So when I'm planning shows and have a budget, you plan for, these things to happen. But what the impact that this had for me was I did not utilize this particular talent again, nor would I. And there wasn't any sort of, clearly I didn't live up to my end. I didn't draw what I thought I would draw, but it was, I need my full amount, before the main event. So that for me, I fine, no problem. It's business, blah, 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 but you're cutting your own throat. And in some cases, promotion, well, not some cases, in many cases, promotions, independent wrestling promotions are buried under stuff like that. You've got the famous story, I don't know if you recall, but Jim Cornette talked about it on his podcast about the individual who got the inheritance and blew through $1 million in 3 shows and paid Orndorff and Stan Lane like 10 grand a piece, and then they're gone. They're out of business. So it's hard enough in today's environment to, make an independent show profitable, which again, I'm sure you know better than I do, but those sort of things stick in your mind and you learn from them. And from what I've been told, you hit the nail on the head. There's friends in this business, and then there's friends that are your friend if they're booked and paid in advance and all those wonderful things. So it's something I definitely have learned from. But again, it's a fine balance between, bringing in folks that the fans want to see and augmenting your homegrown talent and then getting completely soaked.
Jack, I guess it just comes down to who you are. Like, I got a great example for you, and it hits home with you. Somebody gave me a call after the first Hannibal, and he said, "Hey, man, did he pay you decent?" I go, "What?" He goes, Did he pay you decent?" I go, "He didn't pay me." He goes, "Hannibal pays everyone." I said, "I'm even lucky the guy got a hold of me." I go, "Do you ever see the guests this guy has on his show?" When Hannibal said, "Hey, you want to do?" I go, "Why? Why do you want me on the show?" Because I don't know. You get some pretty good hits on the other show. I go, "You really want me on your show?" He went, "Yeah." I went, "Okay." You know what I mean? I go, "I'm lucky the guy even asked me to do it." You know what I mean? And then after, please, I inboxed him after watching Abdul the Butcher. I said, I don't know him that well. I said, "Hannibal, I've watched all of these. You're the only one that had me in tears." I had tears coming down my face for him. I had no idea he got the shot at the show. I had no idea he went that far. And to have it snatched from him like that broke my heart for him, man. It really did. So, even with that knowledge, if Hannibal or yourself got a hold of me and said, "Hey, go back on Hannibal," I go, "Yeah, sure. Go back on Hannibal." Go back on Hannibal. Well, the guests that he's had on there are like, I don't even, being on Hannibal, I compare like when I got inducted in the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2014. Which one of these doesn't belong? This is the class. Harley Race, Davey Boy Smith, Greg Valentine, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and Mario Mancini.
Maybe Jim, no?
Like I'm sitting up on a question and answer panel next to Tito, and next to Tito's Harley Race, and I'm going like this. And I'm going, the hell am I doing up here? What the hell am I doing up here? I almost got up and left. I'm like, what the hell am I doing up here? Valentine was up there. I'm like, what am I doing up here? It's kind of what I feel about the Hannibal show. You know what I mean? It's like, what the hell am I doing on this show, man? Why am I on here? So,
I have a question for you, Mario.
yeah.
If Scott Wilder booked you to do one last wrestling match, would you do it?
No.
No?
No. I can't. I can't, man. I can't. Well, I don't know. Listen, if he said, listen, I'm booking a wrestling show and I want you to wrestle one last time, and the wrestling show's in June, I might, because that gives me time to go back to the gym. That time gives me time to eat salad and chicken breast and egg whites. And I try to get in shape for it, but I can't. Listen, I got into the ring a couple of weeks ago with the students. I went to get out of the ring. I thought I was going to fall on the floor. I can't move like that anymore. I'm 57 years old. I can't move like that anymore. I can't.
What if it involved a trip to Canada?
This sounds like a setup.
I haven't been to Canada in a very, very long time. I guess I would. I don't know. Listen, the thing, the gift I have, and I'm fortunate that if you said go out there and give me 15 minutes, I could. There'd probably be 4 minutes of wrestling, but I promise you that other 11 minutes, because of psychology, that would be very entertaining. So, I don't know. Plus, in my later years in independence, when I worked independent show, I like to gig. I like to bleed. So, didn't do any bleeding in the WWE. Well, listen, I went to Brantford, Ontario every 3 weeks, and I met this really cute girl. And, I was like 19 years old, and she was my age, and I'd get there early, and we'd sit in the car and talk, and, we'd make out like two high school kids and everything. And it wasn't your normal wrestling groupie kind of activity. She was very young and very innocent. So innocent that when I went back, probably the 6th time, I looked at her girlfriends and I went, where is she? And they said, she joined the convent. And I go, well, now that it makes sense now. Now it all makes sense to me. It all makes sense to me. So I loved going to Canada. I think that's the first time I ever saw Mr. Pibbs. Oh, no. Yeah, see, Brian just stopped me in my tracks right there. He just stopped.
He's coming out of retirement.
Now listen. He's right.
You've heard it here first.
No, he's right.
Great North Wrestling.
He's right. If he asked me to do a clash, I would do it. He's right. You're right. I couldn't say no to him. I'd probably want to do a 6-man tag team, but I haven't been to Canada in years. That would be that'd be very interesting. And the good thing about me is I wouldn't mind putting somebody over. I put everybody else over. Why not? That's what I'm known for. So Brian, the hard way is rough. The hard way is rough.
Look at this one here, folks. Costello versus Mancini in GNW. I smell money there.
We'd both be bleeding like pigs. Yeah, that would be fun.
Mr. Costello could join my heel faction, the Big Money Players. I see the juices are flowing here. We'll have to talk.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to love Used to love Canada, man. It was cool. In fact, I always hoped we stayed in Canada, but what happened was we'd always fly into Buffalo, and we'd stay at the Days Inn in Buffalo and just drive over the Peace Bridge. We go to Brantford, Hamilton, all those surrounding towns there, and just shoot right back to Buffalo, Yeah, the ref taking a lot of bumps. You got that right. So Jack, it's like, and I want to know why, Jack. I want to know why in this person's mind. And it sounds like you're a really smart guy. That's evident and obvious. And it sounds like you have a pretty successful organization. Why wouldn't this individual say, Jack, I got to talk to you because I know we have to renegotiate because I don't want to take it broke. Doesn't he realize you would have booked him 5 more times?
He assumed it was a given, but the other phenomenon is, back in the day when you started and Brian started, etc., not anybody could just decide, hey, I'm going to be a wrestling promoter. So the mark promoter phenomenon is very much alive and well, and they think that some people are going to be worked and see sunshine and rainbows where there were dark clouds, and just keep on keeping on. But I have a business background, and I understand bottom lines, and that wasn't going to happen again. I can't really explain the motivation, but it was taken as a given that they would be returning, and it didn't happen.
I you know what, that I'll apply it to another. I'll apply it to another business. In a personal injury practice, obviously these people go to doctors because they're injured. And sometimes at the end of the case, some things have to be negotiated. You get one of these doctors that go, I'm not negotiating my bill. And I said flat out, I said, you understand, if you demand 100% of your bill, you're going to get it, but that's all you're going to get. So if you worked with us and I get 5 more accidents in your area, you're going to get those because you worked with us. But if you demand this payment in full, that's all you're going to get. It's kind of cutting your nose, isn't it? I want my money. Okay. No problem. No problem. You know what I mean? So I don't, maybe it's just my makeup. You know what I mean? I would feel bad, but you know what? SD Jones did the same thing. I had a friend from high school that came to see me, and oh my God, Ed Cohen called me screaming because she needed a kidney transplant. She had gotten a New Haven Coliseum for a wrestling show, and she wanted me to book it because I went to high school with her. And I went, okay. And it got back to the office. And Ed Cohen called me and said, are you crazy? Mario, you're still with us. I go, yeah. He goes, Vince is going nuts. Are you crazy? You're pissed off Vince. You got to pull out of the Coliseum. You got to pull out. I panicked. So I called her up and I said, listen. That's too big of a venue. We're going to have to go somewhere else. She goes, well, what's your idea? I go, I think it should be an outdoor venue. So, you know what I mean? You can still get a lot of people and blah, blah, blah. So I called up SD. SD wasn't with the office anymore. And SD gathered up a lot of guys and came and it poured. And I had all the envelopes ready to go. SD said, no. I said, listen, you were booked. You made the shot. You deserve to get paid. He goes, no. I went to all his guys. All his guys went, give her the money. It's a charity show. Hey, if we worked and there was a big crowd, yeah, but nobody, it's a monsoon outside. It was pouring. Nobody took the money. No, so I'm not the only one. You know what I mean? I'm not the only one. It goes like down to this, Jack, what I always talk to Scott Wilder about, and Roma and I always talk about and laugh. Go in, check into the hotel, and the desk person goes, "Oh, by the way, there's a continental breakfast in the morning." And I go, "What did you just say?" "There's a continental breakfast in the morning." I go, "I'm so sorry." So Roma and I always went out to have breakfast because Roma needed his egg whites. We never ate a continental breakfast. But, at about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the dressing room, you'd see the boys go in their bag. They got muffins. They got Danish. They got stuffed their bag, man. They got the little boxes of cereal. They stuffed their bag, man. They stuffed their bag. And that's just the wrestling business, man. That's just the wrestling business. And it's, where's my money? My favorite episode on Family Guy, when Stewie made the bet with Brian, the Mike Tyson fight against Carol Channing. That's my favorite episode. "You got my money?" "Well, no, I'll give it to you later." "Oh, okay." It's my favorite episode. So, yeah, that's how it is, man. That's what happens. Where's my money?
Hey, Maurice, you call this "Where's My Money?" This particular episode. We could get some merch and recoup some losses here, man.
Yeah, where's my money? I like, it's like Maurice has, although I've beaten some of these guys down for him, but to zero. But it's like Maurice goes, "Hey, what do you think of having this guy on?" I go, "You got to pay him." "Oh, really?"
Like, "Oh, fuck him."
Yeah.
I'm like, but like paying a guy to sit at home on Zoom, fuck that. If I'm booking him for a show, it's different. Jack, you agree with me?
Well, I would. It's a double-edged sword, right? I think some reasonable compensation sometimes is called for, but I think reasonable being the operative term there. But before we get into any more shenanigans here, any offbeat shenanigans, to quote Lance Storm, we're coming towards the end of the hour. So before I throw to Bossman Maurice Mario, do you have any final thoughts for everyone this evening?
Yeah, no, I just, what, that's what I'm not even going to say feel. That's what I think about the whole situation. I want everybody to feel free to either, just comment about what I said, or say, "You know what, Mario, you're a bad businessman." And I'll say, you're right, I am, because you know what, when people walk up to my box, I want them to say that he was a good friend, not a good businessman. So, I'm not a good businessman. I admit that I'm not. And I own Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling, and I do my best. That's why I let Roma book, and Roma makes up the paydays. Because if I pay somebody, $60 to work an independent show, and he went, "I was hoping to get 75," I'd be like, "Oh, here's another 15." So I let Roma take care of that stuff. So I just take care of booking the venues, dealing with the clients, paying the bills, and running the business. So I guess it comes down to I'd rather be a friend than a businessman. So in this business, you know what I mean? What if I turned around and went to conventions and listen, I love Eddie. I love Beefcake. I do. He's an asshole. Eddie's an asshole. He really is. But he's my asshole. He's the asshole that makes me laugh. You know what I mean? Because you look at him and he's got that shit-eating grin on his face. You just got to look at him and shake your head. It's kind of, you know what I mean? It's kind of like that. You know what I mean? So these are, I'd rather be friends than look at Eddie and go, that knee you gave me in 84, it hit me right in the forehead, and I won't forget it. I love David Schultz. If anything ever happened to David Schultz, I'd be devastated. I love David Schultz. He's my brother. He's my brother. He broke my nose in 2 places on August 9th, 1984. I could easily, if I was a different person, I can say, hey, this guy broke my nose. I don't want nothing to do with this guy. He did me a favor. He gave me an early hazing. You know what I mean? So, and I got to prove that I came right back at 18 years old after getting I didn't unlace my boots and go, I'm not going back there. I even pulled the packing out of my nose myself. I didn't wait for the doctor because Chief wouldn't let me work. So I pulled it all out and went back to him. He said, kid, you're nuts. I go, put me on the board. So, this is how I feel. These are, I looked at Valentine and I said, I couldn't be friends like this back then. Why couldn't we be this close, Greg? And Mario, things were different back then. It was just different. These are guys that I did jobs for that either treated me right or wrong. Whether they did or not, I love them all. That's my point. So, like I said, at my wake, when I'm laying there stiff with my hands crossed, I'd rather them say, he was a good friend. He was a good guy. Rather, he's a staunch businessman. Fuck, like Maurice says, fuck that.
What I think you've encapsulated there are old school values indeed. Maurice, before you close out tonight, where's my money?
Actually, I'm just going to check the YouTube revenue now, just while we're online.
Oh no!
Just hold on now. Let me see what we made this month.
As a shoot, or we're going to work it a little bit here?
Oh no, we'll let the audience know what we made this month. Let's see. But don't send in super chats anyway, because YouTube take 52% of them. So we have made a grand total in September so far of €18.96. I don't know if you can see it.
What does that translate to in Canadian? Quick.
I would imagine probably the same, like $18, I guess.
My point exactly. Where's my money?
I guess, Jack, it's better than at one time.
6, 12, 18.
Yeah, that's that one time I tapped into Maurice and I said, I had like 10,000 views or something like that. I said, hey kid, I hope you're making some money. And he said, yeah, like maybe €3. I'm like, €3.
Yeah.
Well, we're only going up from here. I want to take this opportunity to thank Mario for coming on the Mario Mancini Show. This episode, Where's My Money? And of course, Maurice, the guru of the Cheap Heat Productions podcast network. And fans, we will like you to subscribe to the channel and comment on this video, and we'll definitely